You know how sometimes you want to talk about what could happen, or maybe what you wish would happen, or even what might have been if only something in the past was different. Well, in English, we have a special tool for that, and it's called conditionals. Honestly, they are the key to having much deeper, more sophisticated conversations, whether you're talking about your weekend plans or, huge global issues. So in this explainer, we're going to break them down piece by piece so you can start using them with confidence. Ready? Let's dive in.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by listening in on a conversation about sustainability. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of predicting possibilities and imagining different worlds. We'll even connect the past to the present, and finally, I'll give you a handy grammar toolkit to wrap it all up.
All right, first up, a conversation about a sustainable future. Let's listen to how these grammar structures are actually used in the real world. So, picture this. Two people are talking about global policy and sustainability. Your job is to listen closely for those if sentences. Pay attention to how they use them to talk about different ideas and possibilities. Okay, here's the first speaker. They're making a pretty clear, hopeful prediction about the future. Listen. If governments invest more in renewable energy next year, we will see a real reduction in pollution levels. Okay, now listen to the second speaker's response. They agree, but they shift gears a little bit. They're not talking about a likely plan anymore, but more of an imaginary, what-if situation. Check out how the grammar changes. True, that is a likely outcome. But honestly, if companies focused on sustainability instead of just profit, the global impact would be much stronger right now. And the conversation shifts again. Now, the first speaker looks back at the past, kind of wishing things had been different. Notice how they connect something that didn't happen years ago to the situation today. Here it is.
I agree. Unfortunately, we are reacting too late. If world leaders had acted on the climate data 20 years ago, we might not be facing such a severe crisis today.
The second speaker jumps right on that, using the exact same kind of structure to make a similar point. They're also connecting a different past to a different present. Exactly. And if education had been prioritized in developing regions back then, those economies would be much more stable now. So let's pause for a second. Did you catch that? Which sentence was talking about a real, likely plan, and which one was describing a more imaginary, what-if situation? Getting the feel for that difference is absolutely the first step. It's the key to understanding how all of this works. Okay, let's dig into that first type, predicting real possibilities. This is where we talk about the first conditional. Remember that first sentence from the dialogue? The one that sounded like a realistic plan? That's exactly what this is for. So what's the secret sauce here? Well, it's actually a pretty simple formula. For the first conditional, your if part uses the present simple tense, and then the result part uses will plus the verb. Simple as that. Think of it as your go-to tool for talking about real possibilities in the future. Let's bring that example back. If governments invest more in renewable energy next year, see, invest, that's present simple. And the result? We will see a real reduction in pollution levels. There it is, we'll see. It's a perfect cause and effect sentence for something that could really happen. So when are you going to use this? Well, all the time, really. It's perfect for talking about real, likely future results. You can use it in negotiations, maybe to give a friendly warning, or, like we just saw, for proposing realistic solutions to problems. Super useful. All right, on to our next tool, imagining hypothetical worlds with the second conditional. Remember in the dialogue when the speaker changed the feeling of the conversation, they stopped talking about a real plan and started imagining how things could be different right now? That's exactly what the second conditional is for. Okay, so this one has a little trick to it, but it's not that hard, I promise. The form is if plus the past simple, and then would plus the verb for the result. Now, here's the key thing to remember. Even though we're using a past tense verb, we're talking about an imaginary situation right now, in the present. It's like a secret code in English that says, hey, just so you know, this isn't real. Let's look at that sentence from the conversation again. If companies focused on sustainability, that word focused, it's in the past tense, right? That's our clue that in the real world, they don't focus on it. And the result? The global impact would be much stronger right now. That's the imaginary present result. It's the perfect way to talk about an ideal world that, well, isn't our world.
So, when do you pull this one out of your toolkit? It's fantastic for talking about things that are imaginary or pretty unlikely, for expressing how things could be different. It's great for talking about idealistic dreams or even for making a subtle criticism about the way things are now.
Okay, you ready for the big one? This next one is a little more complex.
But it is so, so powerful. We're talking about the mixed conditional, which is all about connecting the past to the present. This is the one you use when you want to look back at an imaginary past and see how it would change things today.
So why is it called mixed? Because it literally mixes two different time frames. Here's the recipe. The if part uses the past perfect. That's had plus the verb's past participle. This talks about a past that never happened. Then, the result part uses would plus the main verb to talk about the different result in the present. Past cause, present result. Let's go back to that amazing sentence from our dialogue. If world leaders had acted on the climate data 20 years ago, see that had acted, that's our imaginary past. It didn't happen. And because of that, what's the present result? We might not be facing such a severe crisis today. It perfectly links a different past to a different present. Pretty cool, right?
This timeline makes it super clear. It's like we're building a little time travel bridge. In the past, there's the hypothetical action, if world leaders had acted, and that bridge leads to a different present result. We might not be facing a crisis today. It's a way of looking back and saying, man, because X didn't happen then, we have Y now. So, this is a fantastic tool for analyzing long-term consequences, right? Connecting that hypothetical past to a real present result. And here's a pro tip for you. You don't always have to use would. You can swap in modals like might or could if you want to show you're a little less certain about that present result. It gives you more flexibility.
Phew! Okay, I know that was a ton of grammar to digest, so let's slow down and put it all together. Think of this next part as your personal grammar toolkit, a simple summary you can use for practice.
Okay, let's run through 3 quick, fresh examples to make sure this is all sticking. For a real prediction, if the government passes the new law, immigration procedures will become fair. For a hypothetical situation now, if we consumed less plastic, the oceans would be cleaner. And for that past to present connection, if the city had built better infrastructure years ago, traffic wouldn't be so bad today. See? Each one has its own special job.
And here it is, all laid out in a nice, simple table. This is your cheat sheet. You've got the first conditional for your real plans and predictions, the second conditional for those ideals and hypotheticals, and the mixed conditional for connecting a past cause to a present result. Seriously, this is a good one to pause and screenshot for later.
So, to wrap this all up, I'm going to leave you with a question, using the very structure we just learned. Think about this for a second. If you had mastered these structures a year ago, how would your English be different today? It's a cool question, right? It just shows you how powerful these grammar tools are for expressing complex ideas. Keep practicing with them, and you'll be amazed at what you can say.